Right, so the lights are all set up, and the only thing left is changing the render settings for a high quality final render. So basically I'm gonna set my width to about 3000 pixels. That should be enough in most cases. Then I'm gonna go ahead and go to my adaptive DMC sampler anti-aliasing parameters and set that filter to Michel Naturali. This will give us better AA. Okay, I'm gonna lower the blurring a bit so the final image is a bit sharper. Then for the adaptive DMC image sampler max subduce, I'm gonna set 16 for nice high quality edges. And I think I'm gonna change my color mapping to Reinhardt and set the burn at 0.1. And what it does, it mixes the exponential and the linear multiply, and in this case with the burn value of 0.1, the linear mode will be about 10% and the exponential will be 90%. And this is going to give us slightly more contrast for the exposure. Alright, next up the indirect illumination. Okay, so the radiance map, I'm going to use the low preset with maybe 80 subduce, and I'm going to bump those interpolation samples up to 30. Okay, so now the light cache, I think 1500 subduce will be enough. I'm also gonna enable my pre-filter and set that at 50 just to smooth out any lighting issues there might be. Okay, and finally for the DMC sampler or the noise settings, I'm gonna use maybe 0.7 adaptive amount and noise threshold at 0.08. Okay, maybe bump up the minimum samples to 16, and I'm also going to increase the global subduce by 2. This is not always the best way to do this. Sometimes you want to go manually through all the materials, all the lights, and set the subduce individually, but in this case I'm not in a hurry, so I can just go for a higher quality render by bumping everything up 2 times. Okay, and let's set the render region division to 64 pixels in size to speed it up a bit. Right, so those are the basic render settings, and I'm also going to use a few render elements, so V-Ray Alpha, V-Ray Z-Depth, and V-Ray Material ID. Okay. So for the Z-depth, we have to measure out the maximum amount we want to include in that. So you can use this helper object that's called tape. And for example, I want to cover an area like this approximately. So that's about 70,000 centimeters. So go to your render elements, and for the Z-depth set the maximum to 70,000. And that should be just fine. Right, for the material ID, I want to change that to anti-aliased or color. And we have to actually set up some IDs for the materials we might want to adjust in post-production. And that material ID element is just going to create some masks we can use. So for example, I think I might use this one, so let's set it to 1. Maybe the roof at 2. Okay, concrete at 3. Okay, glass at 4. Frames at 5. And maybe snow at 6. Okay, ice at 7. And we have only a limited amount of possible material IDs, so make sure you distribute it so you can cover everything you need. Okay, so what else? I think it's gonna be fine. That's enough. Okay, so those are the basic render settings, and I'm gonna use those for my final renders. But before that, I wanna render out one more image, and that's the ambient occlusion map. And for that, we're gonna create a new material, V-Ray light material. Set up V-Ray dirt map in that map slot or color slot, and let's try it with the default settings and see how it looks. So basically, to render this ambient occlusion, you wanna use an override material. Just drag and drop it here and make an instance. And you wanna turn off the rest of the lights. So turn that off. Okay, actually just turn that off at all and turn off the indirect illumination as well. Okay, and let's see what happens now when I click render. Okay, this seems nice. Let's move over here. Okay, maybe let's increase the radius a bit. Let's try it at 20 and an end, and increase the subdivs to 16, just to get some very smooth results. And just basically render out that image and save it as a 16-bit TIFF file. Okay, once you're done with that, you can turn off the override material, turn back on the lights and indirect illumination. And one more thing, if you want to save your render elements, you have to enable this option here and browse where exactly you want to save those render elements. Okay, so set that up and just hit render when you're ready.